It's not very nice, but it'll be cool. But hello. Hi. Sarah Maree Cameron. Do you like the Sarah Maree Cameron? I mean, that is
my name.
That's the name.
That's
but do you like me saying the full name?
The birth certificate. There'd be a problem if I didn't like it.
Yeah, you're like, don't say that.
Do you not like your name?
I'm pretty fond of it.
Pretty fond?
Pretty fond.
Sure.
Yeah, but I don't have 3. You know, that's pretty cool.
How many you got?
I got 2. I got a middle name, but I don't pop her up every time someone says it.
What is it?
It's TJ.
What?
Terrence John, technically, but I like to TJ, you know?
Just letters.
Yeah, it's just letters.
Just letters.
Yeah. Dad wasn't very smart. He just wrote letters. But Sarah Maree Cameron, that is the name. Thanks for joining.
Thank you so much for
Pleasure.
having me here.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. Listen, you got too much going on with you. You got too many things. You've done the award-winning radio presenting on Triple M. You've been acting in film. You are a stand-up comedian, presenter, MC. Too much, Sarah Maree Cameron. So my question is, what is wrong with you? We got to level the playing field.
Don't like downtime, I think is where I'm at.
I thought you were going to say Down syndrome, so I was like, well, that's going to be especially spicy.
Ow.
Right off the bat, she's like, I'll tell you something, Blake. This is controversial. Not a fan of them. Not a fan. Everyone thinks they're so happy.
No, I don't
not
like
so sure.
downtime.
Right. Okay. Downtime. Okay.
I'm very much a make hay while the sun shines kind of guy.
I see. Are you worried it's all going to go away? Is that what the motivation behind the can't stop, won't stop?
I don't know, like you don't know what's going to happen, and
true.
You don't know when you as a performer, people want to come and watch you, and it can be a bit cyclical, and people come and go, and then they might come back as well, and also just a bit ADHD, can't keep still.
Yes.
Got lots of things to do, want to keep busy.
Yeah, well, I want to talk about just the different sort of art forms, if you will, just sort of the mediums, because radio obviously is its own thing, and it's got its limitations, but then you've got stand-up, which doesn't really have limitations in the sense of what's funny is funny and what you can get away with, and then you've got the acting again, which is very limited in what you can do depending on the director and stuff like that. So what do you like about each respective thing? Like I don't want to say what's your favorite, but what do you get out of stand-up versus what you get out of radio? Is that a little bit more specific?
Yeah, to me, they're both incredibly similar, actually, because there's a performance element to it as well. To me, I look at it as connecting with the audience and trying to find that thing that unifies you. Because we're so different as people, but it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from. We're going to find something that we agree on, or that we both like or enjoy, and it could be one thing, it could be 1,000 things, who knows? So radio is definitely about that community connection. And I think comedy is as well. I'm no better than you. You're no better than me. We're just going to have a laugh at this together. And there's a lot of things that I share about my life and things that I observe. And I have a really great time talking to the audience about that as well. And so that we're all in on it.
Yes.
We're all laughing at each other sort of together.
Yes.
So I actually find them very, very similar, radio and stand-up.
Well, that's nice to hear. And I think that, I guess maybe the reason I see it as limiting sometimes is because, there is a limit to the language and stuff that you can use. But you suppose you're working a different muscle, but of the same goal, which is connection and stuff like that. You mentioned as well that you like to sort of talk about your experiences and what you've been through in a way to connect with the audience. And that sort of brings us to the last show you just did at the Melbourne Comedy Festival, which was Wom Please.
Yeah.
Which from reading about it was inspired on you being diagnosed with cervical cancer and endometriosis and stuff like that. So
just the funny topics, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I'm
cancer.
like, right off the bat, let's go. So, but through that, just like you said, something so deeply personal and difficult. What was the goal of that show, and what was those shows like for you?
Oh my gosh, those shows were so much fun, and they were so special. I love them. I love that show. I think I'm going to really find it quite hard to box that show up and just pop it on the shelf. That's what you do as a performer. You write your show, and you might get to perform it around the country or overseas, and you might get to reprise it. And a show's never finished, I don't think anyway. Like, you're just constantly tweaking it. But there gets to a point where you've got to just pop it in a box and put it on the shelf, and then you've got to move on. I think that's going to be really hard for me to say goodbye. I've got one more sort of, session of shows coming up in Darwin for that, which I wasn't expecting. And they asked if I wanted to come up and do a couple of shows of it. And I went, oh, okay, one more time. Meanwhile, I'm writing and halfway into the next show. So your brain has to switch between those. But that show came about as a bit of a challenge for myself. So I'm an ambassador for the Australian Cervical Cancer Foundation and also Endometriosis Australia. And in November each year, that's the awareness month for cervical cancer. Just raising awareness, reminding people to go and get the appropriate screening checks that they need to have done. I thought it would just be funny to challenge myself in that month to write some jokes around a particular visit that I had to the gynecologist. And there were many along that journey.
Yes.
But one in particular which threw me, and, you know, when you were young, and I was so young when I was diagnosed, when someone asks you if some medical students can come into the room, I didn't know what that meant at that time.
Yes. There's something to be studied.
Yeah.
There's something to be learned from you. Do you mind if we get the kids in?
Can we just bring it in? Full focus here.
Right.
You're like,
so they come in, you're like, see this? Not supposed to be like this. You understand? This is a bad one. Come closer, have a look. Don't touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they were there. Anyway,
Wow.
so that was, I thought, oh, geez, I'll tell some jokes about this and just see how I go. Have a laugh and put it up online, and that can be my way of reminding people to go and get their cervical screening.
Right, which is yeah.
And then it kept going and going and kept just, you know, you flesh it out as a comedian. You're like, oh, actually, I've got this, and now I can tag this on. And then, of course, you get people that come up to you and mates and other comedians that are like, oh, what if you did this? And you're like, yeah. And it just kept going. Before I knew it, it was 10 minutes, it was 15 minutes. And then someone said, you know, there's a whole show in this, particularly because I had just finished going through IVF. Now I can't carry children, but my husband and I, we are hopeful and optimistic that one day we'll be able to find a surrogate and have our babies. So I went through the IVF process to get my eggs. And so off the back of that, I was like, all right, and that's a show.
Yeah, we'll tie this all in.
Let's tie it all together.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm just having a stab here, but I feel that after those shows, you must have been getting people come up to you or message you with sort of some catharsis and just be like, listen, thanks for that. I mean, not only do we have a laugh about it, but, you know, not everyone are performers. Some people are suffering through these things with no means to express themselves. So were people reaching out to you at the time saying, listen, been through something similar, thanks so much?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And every single show, and I mean every single show, I would fail to go and watch the next show if it was during the Melbourne International Comedy Festival. You know, you want to go watch someone else. I'd have to have an hour debrief with some people. They want to come and talk to me. And can I just say that more often than not, it was always the men?
Oh, right.
Dead set.
And they're like,
They had things to get off their chest.
I see.
Yeah, because my favourite part of the show was talking about my husband's part of going through IVF.
Oh, okay.
And that is the semen analysis.
Yes, cool. So
Right.
count the swimmers.
You know it.
Yeah, yeah.
And it is very particular how you have to do things and timing and all that kind of stuff. And,
Wow.
and the little pamphlet that you get, because they just, I don't know if you know this, people don't trust a lot of men. And so
I see.
it is the most dumbed down pamphlet I've ever seen in my whole entire life.
Come here now.
Like it even
Come in
says,
this now.
please use the container provided. Do not use any other container. I was like, what? Because they're rocking up with their favourite Tupperware container?
Yeah.
Like, are you that scared that a man is going to be like,
Sure.
oh, I've got a big one, boys?
Just jizzing in a Red Bull can, being like, there you go, Doc.
Is this okay? Is this
Yeah,
sterile?
I've supercharged it. There's a bit of Red Bull in it as well.
So that is one of my favourite parts of the show.
Right.
And then without a shadow of a doubt, the men come up, and the ones who have had a vasectomy, because you've got to check the swimmers afterwards to make sure it's successful. And then you've also got those who've gone through the IVF process as well.
Yeah.
And because I level the playing field, I'm not better than you, you're not better than me. We're all in this together. This is the shared experience. And typically, it doesn't matter, you know, if there's a traumatic situation, there is some humour. There's a humorous element to there.
Always.
And I don't think that we should be afraid to lean into that. That doesn't discount any of the trauma. That doesn't discount any of the bad stuff. That doesn't hide it or anything like that. But let's, you know, it's almost like letting that flower grow.
Yeah.
It's allowed to grow.
Yeah.
So let it come out. And then so I give people license to just have a really good laugh about it.
Yes.
And so that's what I feel like I'm providing. I don't think I'm doing anything extraordinary. I don't profess to be the best comedic writer. I sit back quite often, I watch all these other comedians and I think, wow, that is superb writing.
You
Like
and
that
me
is,
both, sister.
yeah. More than anything, I just want people to feel comfortable that we're mates.
Yes, of course.
And then you get to, the same way that you would have a really cool, fun, cheeky laugh with your mate, that's me.
And walk away from the experience a little bit lighter than what they came in. You know?
Yes.
Not so much heavier. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I resonate with that.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, around that topic, were there any people, though, that maybe had a problem with what you were talking about as well. Because on the flip side, is anyone that, like you said, some people struggle to be able to find the light in the dark and to see someone doing it. Was there anyone that kind of reached out and said, look, they had any quarrels with what you were sharing or their journey? Really?
Yeah, because they do think that you're
Making light of
discounting.
it.
Yeah, and then I had plenty of people come and see the show because they wanted to know. Like before they were like, they were like, oh,
They wanted to know about the whole experience because they were about to go through it?
They saw, well, maybe they have, maybe they got endo, maybe they've been through IVF, maybe they've had cervical cancer or, other piping issues as I refer to it.
Sure.
There's a few pipes in there.
A few pipes.
I mean, I don't have all of them
Confusing
anymore.
mess, that whole thing. Bring the students in.
Yeah, come on.
Have a look again. Explain that.
Do you know how much you got to pay for a plumber?
Yeah, I know.
And so, they go through maybe 1 or 2 or 3 aspects of similar to what I've been through, and they want to come and see the show just to see what it's about and maybe give me a chance, and then they leave and go, oh, she's actually doing that. Yeah. So
and how do you respond to that? Because it's a very vulnerable thing what you're doing. You're talking about something that you've been through in the hopes to connect. And I know that, I mean, look, I've definitely not shared anything of that depth on stage myself, but it does hurt when someone doesn't. Not going to share the prostate
examination?
Well, I mean, that's between me and the students. I don't want to.
The student doctors.
Yeah, some things are sacred, Sarah. But no, I don't want to. I know it's painful when you don't connect. It's painful when something doesn't land and you really wanted to let this be a fun thing for everyone, and some people take it in a negative way. How did you deal with those situations?
You're not going to please everybody.
Yes, simple.
Oh my gosh, you're going to run yourself ragged if you think you're going to try and please everybody. Mm-hmm. You walk into a room, it doesn't even matter if they've come to see your show, like specifically your show, you're not going to have 100% of the room on board with you. Why? Because somebody's rolled up and they've rallied 2 or 3 or 4 of their mates to come along because they don't want to come alone. You might win those people over, maybe, but you don't ever have 100% of the room.
100%, right, yeah, no.
You don't even have 100% of your family.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
You don't even have 100% of your friends.
Yes, Uncle John, I've never been able to get him.
Even your friends, you annoy your friends, that's okay.
Yes.
Annoying people's okay. Mm-hmm. I will always say, I'm happy to annoy you, but you can't call me mean. So as long as you're not a mean, spiteful person, right? So I think if you just reconcile the idea that you're just out here giving your best. Mm-hmm. You're not going to have 100% of the people. Your comedy isn't for everybody. You're not for everyone. I'm not for everyone. It's as simple as that.
Yep.
All you can do is try and work towards the people that you think are going to appreciate your style of comedy, and then go and take the feedback from them. That's, yeah. And I've had a wonderful radio boss of mine. He says to me every couple of years when we need like a little chit chat, and he'll say, if you wouldn't take advice from them, don't take criticism from them.
Yes, of course.
So that's also another thing. And the older that I get, and I hate to be that person to be like, it's when you get older. When I was in my 20s, my gosh, I cared so much about what people thought about me. And then I would waste so much time missing out on opportunities and not being happy, wondering what this person thought of me. I can't worry about that. I've got too much else to focus on for the day than to be worrying if you like me.
Yes.
All I can do is go, okay, well, I'm a good person, doing good things with a good moral compass. I never mean to go out and be offensive or hurt anybody. If I do accidentally, sure, because I'm not perfect. And in that moment, I'd like to grow.
Right.
Show me how I can be better.
Yes. And I think that, because the reason I ask around this, not just with your experience, is it's something that comedians always worry about. Sometimes you have a gig and they're just not your people. It's not your, you're doing a pub gig to 12 people and, your energy's a bit too gay for them. Whatever it is, they're all FIFO. They're like, what is this guy? I don't get it. And there is that accountability side of yourself that goes, I want to be able to kill in every room and to do my job in every room. So I suppose it's just a matter of finding that balance between you're not going to win them all, but also not being a person that walks off and blames the audience every time,
Hang on, can I look at something on my phone to correctly quote this
Please
from
do.
A piece of artwork?
Please do. This will be a beautiful quote.
So I went to the Fremantle Arts Centre.
I'm so sorry. Go on.
And they've got a wonderful exhibition that's on until August called Revealed.
Yes.
Which features new and emerging WA Aboriginal artists.
Yes.
And so I'm going through there, and then there was this quote from one of the artists that said, "Your greatest joy is the key to your greatest suffering, and your greatest suffering is the key to your greatest joy.
Lovely.
You can't kill 100% of your gigs because to kill the next gig, you kind of need to fail in one beforehand so that you can develop your joke.
To lift it a bit, yes.
It's the only way that it's going to work, and you have to learn to be a little bit uncomfortable. And I still grapple with that, but I mean, being in the media industry for almost 20 years, I've been in a lot of rooms where a lot of people don't like me.
Yeah, sure.
A lot.
Yeah, right. Good.
And I will continue to be in rooms where people don't like me.
Beautiful.
And that's okay.
Yes, of course. It's a numbers game, right?
Sure.
And just keep doing you.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Well, I know you got one more run of the One Wom Please, and you're halfway through the new show.
Yeah.
I won't get into exactly what that is because I know you're going to plug that soon. But where can people find you to track the journey and see what's upcoming for you? Try and keep a tab. I mean, good luck trying to keep a tab on you. But
I know my husband can't even.
I know.
It's like, are you home today or tomorrow?
Yeah, just text me when you're home. I'll be there. But yeah, where can people find you and just to follow along?
If you spell my name correctly, which is Sarah, Sarah Maree, Maree, you should be able to find me. Sarah Maree Life on like TikTok and Instagram. Sarah Maree Cameron, YouTube, Facebook. Do you go all in with the X, or do you say formerly known as Twitter? Like, do you do the bit of the?
I plug what about Twitter, Elon's thing, whatever you like.
I think it's like Elon's thing.
Elon's little play toy. Go ahead.
I think that's Sarah Maree Life as well.
Great.
So, anyway, on the socials, I arguably over document what I'm doing. Sure.
Let's get to know you.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much. Thanks so much for coming down. Sarah Maree Cameron, ladies and gentlemen.
Nice, thank you.